Tom Brenneman, from the class of 1968, has been a lifetime contributor to Natick High School athletics. As a student, Tom Brenneman was a three-sport athlete, competing in cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track, and earned MVP honors in all three sports. He set the school record in the 880 in 1968, a record that lasted until 1983. It was as a coach that Tom Brenneman had a Hall of Fame career, coaching girls cross country, girls indoor, and girls outdoor track. Coach Brenneman started as a volunteer coach in 1974 with just a few girls. In the spring of 1975, girls track became an official sport, and Tom Brenneman, their first official head coach. An enormous amount of work during April turned those novices into a very capable team. The team earned a record of 6 wins and 3 losses, losing only to Dedham, Wellesley, and Needham, finishing in a 3-way tie for 3rd place with Walpole and Wellesley. The season ended with the Class A state meet at White Stadium in Boston, where Natick outscored every Bay State League team except Needham. That was the first of many successful seasons for head coach Tom Brenneman, including a streak of undefeated seasons from 1997 to 2003. When Coach Brenneman retired, his legacy consisted of 30 years as head coach of the girls' outdoor track team, with an additional 9 years as an assistant coach, an overall record of 189 wins and only 58 losses. 11 league championships, 6 undefeated seasons, 10 top 5 finishes in the Division II championships, with 4 Division II state championship runner-up trophies. And in 1994, the Natick High School Sassamon yearbook was dedicated to him. Many athletes from the girls' teams went on to very successful college careers. Among them were eventual captains at Bridgewater State University, Boston College, UNH, and UPenn. And 2 of his former track athletes became NCAA Division I All-Americans. 2016 Natick High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1968, Coach Tom Brenneman.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for my selection. It is truly an honor to be inducted and join the ranks of Natick's finest athletes, coaches, and contributors and teams. I didn't put that in my original speech here. Someone was supposed to edit it, and obviously they fell down on the job. Next, I would like to thank all those athletes who I've got to see an awful lot tonight, which is probably the highlight of the evening for me. The opportunity to coach over my 40 years of coaching. 40 years is a heck of a long time, isn't it? I also need to thank all those coaches who I had the good fortune to work with. I shouldn't name 2, but I'm going to, but my good friends, Don Burnham and Dennis Driscoll. They made it a pleasure to go to practice every day. Don always knew of a local watering hole for a post-meet analysis, hole being very descriptive of the places he recommended. And Dennis ignited our championship runs. We didn't have any championships until Dennis started coaching, and it's not a coincidence that's when we started winning championships. Thank you, Dennis. When he joined me in 1985, the 4 ADs I worked with, John Carroll, Paul Peters, Tom Lamb, and Tim Collins, always supported our teams and helped make our success possible. Next, I have to thank my 3 sons for the special opportunity of coaching them in high school. What dad would not want to coach his son in high school sports? I mean, it really is a special opportunity, as some of you out there know, like Tom Lamb, for one. Finally, and most importantly, I have to thank my wife, Ruth, for making it possible for me to coach. Anybody who coaches knows it's the wife who really makes it happen. And I know I wouldn't be standing here, literally, without it. You know, I was talking to my sister Pat about a week ago, and she said that she was saying the Hall of Fame is really a big deal. And I said, gee, it's really a nice honor, but it's not that big a deal, Pat, come on. But now I'm standing here looking out over this gathering and having, you know, seen all the people who came here, and it's a big deal, and I really appreciate it. I'm honored that so many friends, family, and especially ex-athletes, you know, family from, I got all 6 grandchildren here, family came from New York. It really means a tremendous amount to me. Take time to be here. Speaking of family, there are four generations of Brennamans here, 3 of which competed at Natick High. No pressure at all in that 4th generation to compete at Natick High. You can relax, not much is expected of you. Last year, inductee after inductee praised the Natick High community as well as the greater Natick community for the support offered in times of crisis. Few people know this better than myself. I don't know if anybody knows it better than myself. NHS and the community of Natick was there for me and my family, I think most importantly, my family, during the 3 traumatic events of my life. My stroke and the deaths of our grandson, Austin, and our son, David. Would have been very difficult to weather these crises without the support we got from Natick High and the entire Natick community. And we'll always be indebted to you for that support. You know, when we needed it, and we needed it. You know, wouldn't have survived without it. Okay. What's the next page? Anybody shuffle this on me? Let's check. Grandson. Was it a grandson or a granddaughter? Maggie, I thought so. I knew that was you. I coached at Natick for 40 years, including the time I was an assistant and the 30 years as head coach. Beginning before many people in this room were born. Probably about half the room, if not more. I first realized I've been coaching a long time when I went out with some of our younger coaches, younger being anybody under 40, and, you know, for a couple of adult beverages after a meet. Fortunately, the gathering was in an afternoon, and I didn't try and keep up with the pace. And in the course of our conversation, I realized I had started coaching before any of these guys were born. Okay, I've been here a while now. A few short years later, the first athlete to let me know I'd coached her mother joined the team, and I was horrified, absolutely horrified. You know, especially, you know, another message from Father Time. It's marching on. It's coming after you. The idea of coaching the children of athletes grew on me with time. You know, started to become pretty cool. But I became determined not to hear from an athlete that I'd coached their grandmother or grandfather. Not happening, you know. Not happening at all. When I began coaching, it was not as a fierce advocate of women's sports, but I'm very proud of my small role in developing more competitive opportunities for young women. And I think, you know, I had some contributions there. And like I said, I'm very, very proud of that. My high school coaches, particularly Ed Bransfield and Bob Whalen, had a profound impact on me in high school. I think maybe greater impact than, you know, anybody except my folks and my wife. And so I think that developed a sense that I wanted to, you know, have an impact on young people like they did. And so I went, in 1973, when I began teaching, I went to Bob Whalen, who was director of phys ed at the time, and talked. There were no coaching positions open, so I thought, maybe, you know, there's no girls track, maybe we should try that. Went to Bob and asked him, you know, what do you think? He said, we tried it, girls don't want to do it, forget it. So, you know, being your typical 23-year-old who knows it all, I went ahead and started an informal team with about 10 athletes. One of my proudest moments came about a decade later when Bob was officiating for us, and he came up to me in the course of a meeting. He said, gee, you have a really nice team, and he, you know, praised our athletes. That meant the world to me. It's a comment I'll always remember. Within 2 years of starting the informal team, the impact of the Title IX legislation led to an interscholastic team. We had about 30 kids at the time competing in the Bay State League. We wore surplus boys' junior high uniforms. I'm pretty sure that's when the fashion of exposed bra straps began. You know, so we were pioneers in another area. I think those 40 years of coaching provided me with some treasured moments. You know, some things I'll never forget, and people I'll never forget. You know, and you know, I want to thank all those wonderful young men and women who ran track at Natick High Schools. Wonderful opportunity. Thank you for being here, everyone.